You need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the past mistakes that you've made in your life. Who are you? Who do you want to be? And who will you become in the next 365 days? So this is a little different from our usual setup. I really wanted to just have a sit down, like a cute little yap session. I've just had so much on my mind lately. Just talk about the things that I'm going through, and hopefully there's someone out there that can relate. I know we've all seen the winter arc. We've by now, I'm sure you've seen it all over your timeline, all over your feeds. It's winter arc this, winter arc that. And I love it. Honestly, like, I really am a big fan of this rhetoric, of this, I don't even know what to call it, but I'm really a big fan of this idea of not waiting for the new year, not waiting for the new year resolution to become your best self, to show up for yourself in all the different ways that you would show up, especially at the start of the new year, right? I love that aspect of it. But then there's this other aspect of, well, it's not just winter, right? It needs to go beyond that. The arc needs to be a life arc. It needs to be a life change, a lifestyle change, a mindset change, a perspective change. It needs to be an overall change. And so I thought, why not create a series talking about reinventing yourself, reinventing your lifestyle, reinventing your mindset, coming up with a different perspective. And that change is not only just on like looks or the outside, but changing the way that you show up in the world, changing the way that you see yourself. And hopefully by the end of this series, you and I both will have a completely different outlook on not only life, but how we see ourselves living, and like actually living and not just existing in this world. So no, this series and this catalyst of change is not focused on winter or the winter arc, but instead focused on transforming within any season, because ultimately change and transformation isn't bound by a season. Of course, winter tends to bring out like this part of us because we're stuck inside, it's cold, nobody wants to be out, like it's bound to happen. But at the same time, like, winter could also be the catalyst for your truest potential to really shine, because true change begins with embracing the present and being able to craft the future that you see for yourself. Hi everyone, my name is Nichelle and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time in my corner of the internet, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. Go ahead and take a minute to subscribe to the channel if you like videos like this or vlogs and beauty tutorials. I'm your girl. I wanted to start this series called Unearth Change, where we unpack, unload, and essentially reinvent our lifestyle to become the best version of ourselves. We'll go through actionable steps that you can take to fully just like level up and become the person that you've always dreamed of and the person that you know that you can become. I'm really just doing this honestly to keep myself accountable in my own life. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you might have seen my earlier series this year called Evolution Diaries, which is essentially the same thing. It's really just like actionable steps that I want to take to be and live the life that I know that I can live. And unfortunately, summer came around, things happened, and I stopped. I stopped doing everything. I stopped going to the gym. I stopped eating as healthy. I stopped doing all the things that I had set out to do. Drop down in the chat, drop down in the comments. Let me know if you can relate to this. But when you set out a goal for the new year and you're fully like head on, like I'm committed, I'm going to do this, and you are on track, you've done it for a few months, you're feeling amazing, you're feeling great, and then something happens in your life that completely knocks you off track. After that, it feels like there's no point in getting back on track. There's no point in getting back on the horse. There's no point in actually trying again. I don't know if that's just me, but that's the feeling that I got. And so I have stopped myself from doing the things that I said that I would do, because obviously there's no one else to blame but myself. And so this is honestly the reason why I thought maybe creating this series would not only help others in a similar situation, in a similar place in their life, but also to help myself, keep myself accountable, and to hopefully come out of this by the end of 2025, come out of this looking, feeling, and being the person that God created me to be. I've been reading a book quite recently, and it's called, I think it's 101 Essays That Will Change Your Mind. And this book has honestly like completely altered my brain chemistry. Like it's such a great book for just life lessons. One of the things they said in that book that really stuck out to me was, it's easier to act your way into a new way of thinking rather than think your way into a new way of acting. Let me repeat that. It's easier to act your way into a new way of thinking rather than think your way into a new way of acting. That line was just so profound to me. And honestly, they have a lot of lines in this book that are just like really profound, but that honestly stood out to me so much. And I was like, that makes so much sense. For some reason, and I feel like I've heard versions of this before, but for some reason, like it clicked so much harder for me hearing it in that moment. I think a reason for this is because, so I'm 29. Maybe I should start with that. I'm 29 years old. I'm about to be 30 in a month and a half, 2 months. It's actually really crazy saying that out loud, like really crazy. Yeah, I'm about to be 30, and this past year has honestly been a focus for me on leveling up, on becoming the person that I thought and dreamed of when I was a child, how I would be at 30 years old. Now we're coming closer and closer to that time. I'm honestly terrified. I don't know, like, I am honestly terrified of turning 30. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because of the image and the ideal image I have in my head of who I would be at 30 years old and not being able to live up to that. That terrifies me. And in all reality, it shouldn't, because I've achieved and done a lot in my life so far. But it's still like so imprinted in my mind, this person, who she should be, what she should look like, the accomplishments she should have under her belt. Like, I should be married. I should have kids. I mean, I am married, but I take that one off the box. But I should have kids. I should have a house. Like, all these things. I should be, you know, this big person in the fashion industry, whether that was styling or, you know, doing something really big in the fashion industry, living in New York City. All these things, all these dreams, all these goals that I had for myself as a young girl. And then now looking back at my life, of course, I have achieved some of those things, but not being able to tick all those off the box, all those boxes off the list, right? I don't want to say that it makes me feel disappointed in myself, because that wouldn't be an accurate depiction of it. But there is some sort of like sadness there. There is some sort of like grief for that image that I had for myself. There is some sort of, there is just some sort of sadness that some of those goals and things and dreams were not achieved. And it's not to say that I still won't achieve them, because I mean, hey, life goes on. We still live in. So every day is a new day where I can definitely achieve those same goals, period. We not giving up. But I'm just saying, like, you know, and again, if you can relate to this, drop a me in the comments, because I just feel like as a young girl going through life, you literally thought of yourself, oh, at 30, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this. And then boom, you're 30. Like at a blink of an eye, you're 30. And a lot of these things on your list you didn't achieve. you feel like you're behind in life. You feel like you're behind in time. Like you feel like you're literally playing catch up with yourself, which was, I don't know, it makes no sense, but at the same time, like, that is the feeling. It is the feeling of playing catch up, even though you're not competing against anyone. You're not even competing against yourself in essential, because you're literally just competing against an image, a made up image. Like, that's wild. That's wild. And so I think throughout the year, I had to assess and analyze and evaluate my life and the things that I've achieved and my goals, and realistically what it really looks like for me going into my 30s, and what I want it to look like going forward. And so I just realized within myself, like, hey, I kind of need to wake up a little bit. I think for most of my, I was going to say most of my adult life, but really most of my life, I've been in a very like neutral zone. I've been in a very like, okay, gear 2, we cruising, we vibing, it's smooth sailing. You know, even though life in my 20s, girl, it was rough. It was rough, because if you didn't know, I moved from Jamaica to New York City when I was 19 years old by myself, just me and like 2-3 suitcases, struggling in New York City. So I've had to make my way. I've had to find my way. But through all of that, still, I just feel like I was cruising, and something just like hit me, especially like the last maybe 2 years. It just like hit me that like I need to level up. Like, I need to hit, okay, gear 3, kick it up a notch. You know, I need to really stop being lazy, essentially. That's really what it is. Yeah, in some ways, like, I need to stop being lazy with my own growth. You put so much energy and effort into all these other things in your life, you know, your relationships, your business, career, but yet you've neglected the most important relationship in your life. Well, besides the relationship with God, but the relationship with yourself. You haven't put much energy into that. You haven't really cared for yourself like you really need to. And so, yeah, that's been the culmination of the like past 2 years, and mostly this year, that has really kind of pushed me in the direction of creating something like unearth change. So moving into this series, a lot of the things that we're going to tackle together are both physical and internal. And one of the things that I really wanted to start with was the aspect of fear and doubt, and how that essentially robs us of our best versions of ourselves. Here's another quote from the book that's related to fear, and it's just really good, that book. If you have Audible, or I think it's also available on Amazon, go get it, because it's definitely worth it if you're into your like self development, personal development, self-help era. Go get it. So it said, fear and resistance thrive when we're avoiding the work. Say it again. Fear and resistance thrive when we're avoiding the work. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm definitely the type of person to avoid the work. Okay. I'm going to avoid as much as I can. If I can, I will. I think fear and doubt is one of my biggest obstacles that I've had to overcome, still having to overcome on a daily basis. So to start off this series strong, we're going to go over a few techniques and strategies you can adapt to overcome fear. Of course, this is still a personal journey, but here are just some things that I've implemented in my life on a day-to-day basis that helps me to not only overcome fear, but also just shift my mindset away from, you know, that negative, fearful position. So the first thing you want to do is acknowledge and accept that feeling of fear. Being able to put a name to the emotion, being able to voice that emotion and just say it for what it is the first step to taming it, essentially. It's the first step to overcoming it. Fear is a natural emotion, right? We are humans. It's natural that we're going to feel fearful, especially in new situations. Whenever challenges pop up, it's going to be a natural response. But being okay with being fearful, being okay and just accepting it, like, okay, in this moment, I'm feeling some doubt. In this moment, I'm feeling fearful. Being able to acknowledge it and accept it will take away some of the power that it has over you. It's really not about eliminating fear from your life, right? You can't necessarily eliminate negative emotions from your life. That's not really possible unless, you're a sociopath. But what you can do is learn to live with it, learn to cope with it in the best way, right? So the first thing, acknowledge and accept. 2, shift your perspective. Reframe the situation. Instead of saying, oh, I'm fearful of this, I want to avoid it. Instead of doing that, see it as an emotion and signal of growth. Because you might be feeling fearful because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. It could often be on the verge of a breakthrough. It's important to shift your mindset to see fear as something that could be good for you. That's something that could push you in the direction that you need to go. Focus on opportunity and not threat. Instead of worrying about the potential of failing or not living up to the ideas like I was just talking about, ask yourself, what can I learn in this situation? What can I take away from this? How can I grow in this situation? 3, challenge your negative thoughts. And this is a big one. Especially for me. This is huge because I tend to have a lot of negative self-talk. So one of the biggest things that I've been doing is challenging those negative thoughts. Simply ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Because often fear is rooted in exaggerating the outcome of failure. 9 out of 10 times when you question your fears, you'll realize that the worst case scenario is not even that bad. It's literally not as bad as you make it out to be in your head. Don't forget to use your positive affirmations. In this moment, in this step right here, using positive affirmations is going to save your life. Okay, that is dramatic, but replacing those negative self-talks with a positive affirmation can truly just shift everything for you. For example, I'm usually the person that thinks that I'm not good enough, that I don't deserve to be in the position that I'm in. And so what I do is, instead of doing that, I tell myself that I am capable of growing and learning. I'm capable of becoming exactly this person by doing this, and this. And basically I just hype myself up. I gotta be my own hype man. Okay. You got to be your own cheerleader. And then right after this, I'll reflect on my past wins, my past successes. What have I done to put me in this exact situation? Because I know I've been doing things right. Clearly, I'm in a great place. So obviously I've been doing a lot of things right. So reflecting on your past wins, because it's so much easier to dive in or delve into all the things that went wrong, all the things that didn't happen, all the things that you didn't get. So much easier to do that. Whole lot harder to focus on the times that you did win. And a lot of the times when you do focus on your wins, you'll realize that you actually won a lot more than you lost. But you're over here focused on the times that you lose. Who does that? I would shamefully say I do that. Number 4, take small steps. Start with doing something small, day by day. Break your big task or your big goals into smaller, everyday, manageable tasks that you could do. And that will accumulate. That will create a compound effect, right? It will become easier and easier for you to do those things. It will become easier and easier for you to actually achieve the big goals because you've broken it down into just like day by day little tasks. And by doing that, it doesn't become overwhelming for you, which will reduce your anxiety and build up good momentum so you continue to feel good about where you're at and the goals that you're working towards. 5, practice mindfulness and meditation. Now, this is one of my favorite little gems because this is definitely something that I love doing already. So just like adding it to my little routine every day, it just like brings me peace of mind, keeps me grounded, and keeps me rooted in where I need to be, which is peaceful, calm, joyous. So one of my favorite mindfulness practice or my favorite meditation is using Headspace. I use the Headspace app. It's amazing. I use it literally every morning. I do like my 5 minutes of breath work. It just like takes me, it really just like calms me, honestly. And doing it outside, of course it's like colder now, so I don't really be doing it outside so much, but I would usually like walk through the park, listen to a little meditation, and it really just like brings me to earth, brings me down to earth. If you're a walking person, you like to walk or you like to run, a really great way to practice mindfulness while you're doing that is not listening to anything at all. Listening to the sounds that's just happening around you and just being very, very, very present. Because I do understand that like meditation is not for everyone. Not everyone enjoys it or even like finds it interesting or finds it helpful. So I would definitely recommend just like going for a walk. It really is as simple as going for a walk. You don't even have to go for a walk. You could just like in your everyday life be mindful by being present, because that's really is the practice of mindfulness, right? It's just allowing yourself to be fully present. And so along with meditation, I talked a little bit about this, is like practicing deep breathing, breath work. Breath work really, really helps to reduce your anxiety as well. It really helps to bring down your nervous system so your body's not in a constant fight or flight. It helps to normalize and regulate everything that's going on so you feel like you're not literally having to fight for your life. And literally do that every day for 15 seconds. It feels amazing. 6, focus on action, not perfection. I'm a Capricorn, okay? Perfectionism kind of runs in this blood, okay? I am a Capricorn through and through. So perfectionism, that's kind of a hard one for me. But I've had to relearn and rephrase that in my head to commit to progress, to commit to just trying. Because that's another thing. I don't like trying something if I know I'm not going to be good at it. That does not help with my levels of fear. That does not help with my levels of worry, with my anxiety, my doubt. That doesn't help. So being able to commit to just trying, just for the sake of trying, I can say that, yeah, it really does help. Because actually recently I tried running. I hated running before. I was not a runner. And that was honestly because like I hate the way I look running. And I think I look dumb. I still kind of feel like I look dumb. But I've been running and slowly but surely just trying it, just running. And it has felt amazing. It has just felt really freeing just to run. Just to not care, about how you look, how, you come off. Like, I just ran. And that felt pretty good. It literally felt really good. So I would encourage you to get out of your head. It does not have to be perfect. It's just try. 7, practice self-compassion. We tend to be our hardest critics. We tend to be our worst critics. But it doesn't help to become impatient because things aren't going the way that you want them to go. I think when people say that you need to treat yourself how you treat your best friend, it's easier said than done because we don't necessarily have the same expectations that we have for our best friends that we do ourselves. But there is merit in it. There's absolute merit in it. And the same way that you show compassion to your friends, you need to show it to yourself. You need to be kind to yourself. You need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the past mistakes that you've made in your life. Forgive yourself for the wrong choices you've made. Forgive yourself for maybe not showing up to the gym this morning. Forgive yourself. Overcoming fear and doubt is a process. Like, it's not gonna happen overnight. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight. Neither is like literally anything in life. It's not gonna happen overnight. You're gonna have to work at it. So whenever these situations come up, you really got to put in the work to really see the fruitful change that could come out of this. So as we wrap up this first video of this series, I just needed you to remember that the ultimate glow up starts with a single day. It starts with today. It starts with this video. It starts with you getting out there, doing and implementing these things into your life. It starts with you taking that first step to redefine yourself, redefine your life, and reinvent the person that you want to be. So I thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like videos like this. Of course, hit that thumbs up button so it pushes out to all the other girlies that are looking to reinvent themselves. I appreciate you for being here. In the next episode, we'll be talking about building healthy relationships with your family and friends. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.